on freedom. This is the place where you end up when you make decisions that can cost you to lose your freedom for the rest of your lifetime. It's unfortunate that the prison facilities are so overcrowded with young black men. And to add insult to injury, the majority of these young black men have not even begun to live their life and already have to spend the rest of their lives behind bars. But this is the place where you end up when you are rebellious, when you want to be about that life, when you participate in gang activity, or you allow yourself to be overly overcome with so much anger and hostility to the point to where you have to take your anger out on someone by taking their life because you have so much anger and animosity built up inside of you. So the moment anybody challenges your ego or challenges your manhood, you allow all that anger and hostility to push you to a point to where you resort to killing someone and taking their life, all because of some temporary heat of the moment, temporary anger in the moment, because you have allowed this anger to reside inside of you for years till it just kept building up. And the moment you had a brief altercation or you had a negative encounter with somebody for a split second, you spit all of your venom out by resorting to violence and taking another individual's life. This is where you end up when you make these type of decisions. This is where you end up when you feel like you have to prove a point to your homeboys or you have to prove your loyalty to the streets. This is where you end up because you have to prove that you're not a punk. You have to prove that you are bigger than what you pretend to be. This is where you end up. And anybody who has been there, who has landed in these type of places, can tell you it is not worth you losing your freedom. And there are so many of them that are sitting in these facilities and regretting every moment of their lives. How often do we hear offenders or criminal offenders state, if only I could turn back the hands of time? If they could have went back to that day or that night where that incident took place, where somebody's life was taken, if they had just one more chance to do it all over again, they would have done things differently. Because this here is not worth your freedom. When you end up in prison, you lose your normalcy for life. Meaning that the little things that you should be able to do just as being a human being, all of that is stripped and taken away. the hell you got to lose by breaking the rules and violating. When you end up in these type of places, life is constantly passing you by on the outside, meaning that there's going to be so many things that's going to go on that are outside of your life sentence that you're never going to have the privilege of any involvement. Meaning that once you end up in these facilities, if you have children on the outside, you're never going to have the advantage of parenting them. It doesn't matter if your family or the other parent of that child brings that child to that facility for you to see your daughter, for you to see that son. But the point of the matter is, it's only a 30-minute visit, an hour visit, and then they leave with your child. Meaning you would never really get to enjoy the most precious moment being a parent because you're incarcerated in these facilities. You would not see your child's first walk. You would not see your child's first school play. You would not be able to walk your child to the bus stop for their first day of school. You will not be able to see their first drawing unless somebody puts one of their pictures into one of their drawings into a letter so it can be sent to you in a prison facility. But it's nothing like your child bringing you your first letter when they get off that school bus or whatever, their first drawing. It's the little things that mean a hell of a lot that you're not going to have the privilege to be able to enjoy. So if you have children, it's a lot of significant things in their lives you're going to miss out on. You're going to miss out on your son's first football game, a basketball game. You're going to miss out on your daughter's first prom or her first their first graduation. You're going to miss out on all of that once you decide to make poor decisions, especially that resort to you taking someone's life. This is where you can end up, and you can miss out on so many precious moments, especially if you have children. Not only that, keep in mind when you go in these facilities, you have parents that are aging, that are getting older. You have grandparents that are aging, that are getting older. Do you not realize that while you are incarcerated, when your loved ones pass away, you would not have the privilege of attending their funeral? Do you not realize when your grandmother, your grandfather end up in a nursing home, end up in a hospice, grandparents who you truly love, who you truly treasure, you're not going to have the privilege of being able to see them in their last days, and you're going to have to find out through a phone call or find out through a letter that someone you loved and cared about, your parents, your grandparents, passed away, and you were not out in the world to be able to share with them their last moments. This is what comes along with the cost of losing your freedom. You're going to have loved ones that are going to pass away, and you're not going to have the privilege of being able to see them before they leave here. And you're not going to have the privilege of being able to go to their funeral and paying respects. Because most of these correctional facilities, they've been threw that out the window. They used to allow inmates to go to the funerals of their relatives that passed, but it would have to be immediate family, like a mother, father, grandmother, or something like that. They've been abolished that privilege because, of course, somebody had to ruin it, and instead of them making good of the situation and going to the funeral and paying their last respects, you've had some inmates that have tried to flee the scene, that have tried to escape, during that process of visiting deceased loved ones. So they have done away with that. Now, when you end up in places like this, there is no go to no funeral. Okay, so whoever passes away, I don't care how much they mean something to you, you're never going to see them. The only memory you're going to have is the last time you saw them when you were out. And that's basically what it boils down to. Furthermore, what a lot of these young men have to understand, and young women who resort to this type of lifestyle where you're who will accept phone calls from you. First year or two, you'll get some type of cooperation. But anybody who's have served time can tell you, after a while, people stop looking out for you when you end up in these facilities. And when you're in these type of environments, when you're in this prison system, you need all the support you can possibly get. The phone calls be meaning something to you because you need the encouragement. The letters be meaning something to you because you be wanting to hear from people. Sometimes you need to hear a different voice, because when you're in these prison facilities, you see the same faces, you hear the same voices all of the time. And sometimes you need an outsider to give you a voice of reason, especially when you have those days that are really rough, when you're really feeling down about why you're in there, or you getting into it with other inmates, or you have some officers that are abusing their authority. You're going to need that type of encouragement. But what happens is people on the outside is going to only encourage you but so much, because people still have to live. Even though your life has stopped, and it will stop when you end up in these type of situations and these facilities, people still have to live. People have bills to pay. People still have mortgage, car notes. People have to work. Not only that, people still got to deal with their own personal problems on the outside. So guess what? No one has the time or the energy to keep up with what you are going through in prison, keep up with your needs, your wants. People don't have time to keep reaching out to you and catering to you every time you down and out, or you need some change on your books, or you need some commissary, you need some ramen noodles, you need some honey buns, you need some food. People on the outside don't have time to run to your every command. Not only that, people on the outside, they take their time helping you. They are not in a rush to help you. So while you sitting there day by day, anxiously waiting on somebody who promised they was going to send you some money, promised they was going to send you a package with some underwears and some boxes and whatever, They'll get round to it whenever the hell they want to. And that's another very frustrating part about being in and up in these type of situations, because no matter what your needs are and how urgent they are, people are going to take their time, because guess what? You are limited and enforcing people to do for you. You could only make but so many phone calls to beg them for help. You could only write but so many letters to beg for help. And when your back is against the wall and your family stops looking out for you, and it's not because they just don't give a damn. In some cases, they really don't give a damn. But in most cases, people still have to survive out here. I know a family member personally who got incarcerated for a sexual child molestation charge. He got incarcerated, and he was a child when he committed the offense. But over time, now he's a full-grown man. People are not empathizing with him anymore. When you was that little boy, when you was 15, 16 years old, and you committed that offense, people might have sympathized to a certain degree because you was a child. But as time goes on in these facilities, people stop sympathizing because now you've become that grown man or that grown woman. People are not looking at the fact you was a child when you committed that criminal offense. Now you're grown. So the compassion and the sympathy is not the same as it once was. So this is another thing you have to deal with. And this particular individual, he had worn so many people out in the family. Needing, wanting, continuous phone calls. I had to block him from calling my phone, because that was just how much he was blowing up my phone from the prison facility to get somebody to put money on his books. And then, to make matters worse, after talking to other people, he's been calling them too. So basically, he's been hustling several people in the family. He'll call this person for money, that person for money, that person for money, that person for money, that person for money, and everybody started putting two and two together. No, you doing something wrong in there. You either got somebody punking you and making you done began somebody cake boy, and they punking you and making you hit up your family members, or either you gambling, you doing something that you shouldn't be doing in that prison, which is causing you to have to constantly borrow and beg money. So basically what it boiled down to, nobody helps him anymore. Nobody looks out for him anymore. And when you in these type of facilities, you cannot afford to be aggressive. You cannot afford to be demanding folks to do for you. But what happens is, when you end up in these facilities, you become desperate, because there's so many things you need. Because in these type of environments, you never want to put yourself in a position of where you have to have other people, you have to have other inmates look out for you and lend you things, give you things. Because when you end up in these type of facilities, everything is a big goddamn deal. They will kill you over not paying them back they soap that they lent you, or they give you an extra pack of ramen noodles. They'll slice your throat for stuff like that. Or they let you make a phone call or two, and you don't have no money. You got to pay them back somehow. If you ain't got the money, they gonna tap that booty. You going either way. You gonna have to reimburse them. If you got to reimburse them with some booty, they gonna get it back out of you, one way or another. And we know this is another thing you have to deal with. When you end up in these prison facilities, you have a lot of horny, demonic spirits in these facilities. You have men who have not laid with a woman in years, who have not smelled, who have not touched any type of vagina in years, and they never will. And at the end of the day, a man still has needs. He still is horny. He still gets turned on. He gets an erection. Guess what? Somebody's going to have to relieve that man. And if it takes you being a person they use and abuse to alleviate them, to relieve them, where they could bust one here and there, well, guess what? They'll do it. And they don't care if you're a child. They don't care if you're not cooperative. They'll take it from you if they have to, because that's the way the prison facility is designed. If people can't get what they want, they'll take what they want. And for anybody who've ever experienced it, they can tell you your manhood is never the same. You go into these prisons weak-minded because the streets and the prison, the codes are totally different. In the streets, you're able to get away with a lot more because there's room to escape and abandon certain situations. You can flee the scene, you can transfer to another state, you can move to another side of town to avoid certain type of conflict. But when you're in the prison facility, there is no escape. When you owe somebody something, you're going to have to pay it back. There is no transfer. You may could get lucky. That eventually you'll see your freedom. So what they will do is they will cause you to get in some type of conflict to where you get time added on to what you're already having to face. Not only that, you got a lot of con artists in prison. You got people who act like they cool with you, act like they trying to help you. And if you come into these facilities gullible, weak-minded, ignorant, and you lack knowledge in how prison politics operate, you can easily fall prey to getting caught up in the game. I've even heard some instances in which some inmates, they would scope out the new fish that will come in there and just watch you and see if you needy, see if you struggling, and they'll come up to you nicely and offer something to you. Well, if you want my tray, or if you want some honey butter, something like that, I got you. Ain't no problem. I can lend you something. I can give you something. And if you dumb in the prison politics and you think that inmate was offering because they was just really being nice, and you eat that damn honey bun, or you take that one pack of ramen noodles, because again, you don't have no support on the outside, so you thirsty, you hungry, you desperate, and you take it, they'll wait till you get down to your last bite of that honey bun and say, okay, you know you owe me 20 pack of cigarettes. That's how grimy they are in the prison politics system. These inmates, these prisoners, there's no loyalty. You will owe like a carton of cigarettes over a goddamn honey bun. Y'all think the streets is dirty? Y'all think the streets is grimy? Wait till you end up in these prison facilities. You think there's no loyalty in the streets. Like I said, at least there's room to escape. In prison, there's no room to escape. When you end up in these type of situations, if you report it, you become a snitch, and you sure don't want that on your back, being labeled as a snitch. And if you've already been labeled as a snitch in the streets, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna bring those same snitch characteristics into the prison facility, and them jokers, them inmates is not gonna play with you. They will kill you for snitching. You don't want to live long in prison? Snitch on somebody. Report something to the warden. Report something to the officers in there. Sooner or later, officers not going to be there 24/7 to protect you for when it's time for you to pay for retribution. There's more inmates that outnumber the officers and the warden that can protect you, because they can't protect you from everything. And the truth is, a lot of these hardcore criminals, they know these prison facilities in and out. They don't know every nook and cranny. They know where to get you and how to get you. They know what officers. They study they schedule. They'll know what time to hem you up in a certain place where there's no protection and there's no presence of an officer. It's all kind of ways to get you, because these criminals are well experienced, and a lot of them been in prison for so many years. They know the prison system better than the goddamn officers, because you have to realize it's a lot of officers that are constantly leaving these type of facilities because they can't handle the stress. So it's a lot of turnovers for officers. But when we're talking about prisons and criminals, a lot of them been there for years. They don't turn over prisons and criminals. So they know the system better than those that work for that prison facility. They could tell you more things about that prison facility than the warden and then all the officers that work there. This is where you end up when you lose your freedom. You can't put a price on freedom. The fact that you can wake up every morning and make your own cup of coffee, make your own sandwich, go somewhere and get you something to eat, get you some breakfast. The fact that you can leave outside your house, go to your car, drive your car to work, make your money, even with all your problems, even on your good days and bad days, but you still have freedom. You can't put a price on freedom. Freedom is one of the most valuable assets you can possibly have, is your freedom. So, before you decide to commit a crime such as taking somebody's life, because once you make that decision, ain't no taking it back. It's done. Once you have murdered somebody, you have wiped that human being's existence off of this earth. You have erased a name. You own that life. Once you take another person's life, you own it. Unless you lucky enough to not get caught support. Because again, people out here still have to survive, to pay their bills and live. People gonna only worry about you and care about you for but so long. And when you don't have no support on the outside, you end up doing desperate things within the prison to survive. And some have gone so far as to doing desperate things to where they're stealing from other inmates. They robbing other inmates. I've seen prison documentaries where inmates done got beat up from stealing toilet tissue from other inmates because they were so down on their luck they didn't have $1, $2 on their books where they could get tissue to wipe their own ass. When you're in prison, you become desperate when you don't have any support, and eventually you will lose some support. When people stop sending money and folks forget about you, you will become corrupt. You will become corrupt to survive. You will steal. You will lie. You will do all type of things just to get the basic necessities. You'll be stealing other inmates' canteens. For those who are not familiar with canteens are those big old containers where inmates who do have family that support them will look out for them and buy them a lot of snacks, shampoo, soap. They have a big old container full of all of these necessities, which is like a scratch off. It's like a $500 scratch off to have a big canteen, because they don't have money in there. You're not allowed to really transport dollars. They have what's called a barter system. They exchange a lot of goods, soaps, snacks, candy, cigarettes, things like that. So when you locked up in these facilities and you lose your support system, or you did a crime so bad to the point where your family ain't checking for you, they ain't effing with you like that, like nah, you done did this, I ain't going nowhere near you, I ain't even trying to put money on your books. Depending on what level you took your crime, what the extent of the crime you committed, you may not have no family that may not rock with you at all. So when you in a situation where you see other inmates are well off and they got everything they need and you don't, and you have to survive, what are you gonna do? You're going to resort to criminal means. And this is why they state that prison does not rehabilitate criminals. Prison makes criminals better criminals, because you're just going to learn how to steal more. You're going to learn how to lie more. You have to realize when you're in these facilities, all your normalcy for life is gone. There's no such thing as you being able to live your life. You can't. It's the little things that you're used to having for yourself you're not going to have to yourself. There will be no more sex with the opposite sex. That's done. They don't have co-ed prisons. So when you allow yourself to get in situations to where you end up in these facilities, you're going to be around the same sex every day, all day. And like I said, when people got needs that need to be met, they don't ask, they take. And that is something you have to really think about when you put yourself in these type of situations. I think it's very unfortunate that we have so much of the young black youth that will allow their ego, their arrogance, and their ignorance to get them to a point to where they snap and make an irrational decision by taking another young man's life who eventually could have became something, who could have been an asset not only to the community, an asset to their lives. What you're not understanding is when you put a gun in your hand and you aim that gun at another individual and you pull that trigger and that bullet goes off, you are killing another individual who could have been a doctor, who could have been a lawyer, who could have been an advocate or activist for the black community. You are killing hope. You are killing the future. And not only are you killing the future, you're killing your future. Because you cannot put The price. You're never going to see that person again. Do you think the judge, do you think the criminal system is going to put y'all in the same cell where y'all can still rekindle y'all friendship? Y'all not even going to be in the same prison. Matter of fact, y'all going to be in two totally different states. And do you not know that prison does not allow you to write other inmates? You cannot, the prisons don't let prisoners send letters from one prison to another prison. So these same people that you're committing these offenses with, be prepared that you're never going to see them again in life once y'all get caught. So that's why I could never understand how people have so much loyalty for each other when it comes to committing a crime. But eventually, y'all gonna go y'all separate ways. The system gonna see to that without a shadow of a doubt. And not to mention, your family is gonna be embarrassed and humiliated by your actions. And in some cases, but it's far too many. And one too many is too much. So before we want to start attacking all of these other races, until we learn how to respect and appreciate one another, there's really nothing we could even say to anybody outside of the black race. We can't say nothing about how they mistreat us because we mistreat each other. Again, y'all, this is your girl, Lady Mocha. Appreciate your freedom. Don't put yourself in a situation where you could end up behind bars for the rest of your life and losing all of the precious things that are supposed to make a difference, that are supposed to matter to you. Anyway, leave a comment below. Appreciate y'all for viewing this video, and I hope somebody takes heed to this content and will be more careful with any more decisions they plan on making from here on out. This your girl, Lady Mocha. Remember, I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth, and I'm going to always break you off with a slice of knowledge. Y'all take care. Till next time. Later.